What are we gaining in DragonFlight? More buttons? We're getting more buttons! Hey there everybody, Mazrock here, and today I want to go over one of the more exciting DragonFlight talent trees, which is actually rather surprising, and that's Vengeance Demon Hunter. The other night on stream, I was going over some of the talent tree reworks for tanks, and we had landed on Vengeance fairly quickly, actually, because there was some pretty major changes there, and I was very pleasantly surprised by the changes they had made to the tree. In all honesty, when I first seen it, I was a little disappointed with some hints of excitement, but the reworks really got me, like, the wheels turning in my head, and I'm like, oh man, this could be really, really fun. So let's go into it, some of the major changes and things like that. I'm not going to be going over every talent. That's going to happen in a couple of weeks when things are a little bit more set. But I just want to go over some of the big changes and why I'm actually excited for Vengeance Demon Hunter in DragonFlight. Before we do get started though, please like, comment, subscribe. I'm flabbergasted always by the amount of support everybody has been giving me in this channel. Thank you so much. There's a Discord link down below if you wish to continue this conversation at all, or if you wish to grab LVI profiles or anything like that, you can get that in the Discord link down below. There is a Twitch link as well if you wish to watch me stream. And as well, there's a Patreon link down below, which I am currently in the process of restructuring and reposting brand new rewards. Now, let's get into it. One of the biggest changes that's going to be occurring to Vengeance Demon Hunter in DragonFlight, aside from more buttons, yeah, they're getting more buttons, which I'm totally excited about, is Frailty. Frailty currently on live is a 20-second debuff that is applied by Spirit Bomb. Now, in DragonFlight, it's going to be a 5-second debuff, but it's going to be applicable by Spirit Bomb, applied by Spirit Bomb and Sigil of Flames, giving you more of a reason to hit Sigil of Flames, but there's also synergies there, which fire damage heals you as well. So it's not going to be a lot of healing, because Sigil of Flames still, I think, hits a little wet noodly, but it is something, and it gives you something different, more to add into the rotation, because currently on live, unless you're trying to pull from a distance, get threat, or just do some sort of damage at a distance and you don't have a global, you really never touch Sigil of Flames. It's pretty much a wasted global. So this is going to be a reason to actually use the global of Sigil of Flames, and it's going to give you more fury per enemy hit. Really digging into that, Vengeance AoE is pretty much God King. Like, currently on live, the more mobs that you pull into a pack, it's almost the safer that you are. It's actually really crazy, and they're going a little bit further into that and digging into that niche for Vengeance Demon Hunter in DragonFlight. But Frailty being a 5-second debuff now instead of 20 sounds like a big nerf, but it's also going to be able to be overlapped with a capstone talent. So you're going to be able to get multiple frailties onto any mob, which is actually a lot of fun. I was testing this in the PTR because in my Discord I infamously still don't have beta, and it's become a running joke that I'm just never going to get it. So I went on the PTR and I was testing this. Now, of course, I still had things like my 4-piece and my legendaries and all that fun stuff, but it was really just to get a feel for the class. One of the things that I felt was I had an overabundance of fury. Like, my fury bar was always full. Now this I can attribute to the 4-piece. Obviously, it's going to generate more fury than it's going to be required, but I also started using Sigil of Flame into my rotation, and I think the adding of everything in the DragonFlight talents for fury and adding everything from that we currently have on live just made an overabundance of it, and I don't think we're going to actually have that overabundance in DragonFlight. I actually think the fury is going to remain relatively the same. You're still going to have very good generation options, especially with Quicken Sigils and Sigil of Flames and all of that fun stuff. I think where they're going to hurt a little bit is, of course, going to be in single target, where it has primarily been Vengeance Demon Hunter's weakness, but there are talents currently in the game to help fix that. One like Soul Cleave does 40% more damage to their primary target, so this is going to help fix and weave in more buttons into that rotation. Vengeance is gaining a ton of defensives with Blur, Darkness, being added into the class tree. The trade-off is Sigil of Misery and Sigil of Silence is added into the class tree as well for Havoc. Who got the better trade-off? But whatever. Currently on live, Sigil of Silence is 45 seconds, so it does feel a little bit bad that it goes up to 1.5 minutes. But you get Blur, and you get Darkness, and you're also gaining the Hunt. Honestly, how much Vengeance is gaining here versus how much they're losing, honestly, they're really not losing that much, right? Because you still have access to Sigil of Silence. It's just on a longer cooldown, but you get Blur, Darkness, and Hunt. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm super cool with that. Fixing a lot of the innate squishiness that can come with Vengeance Demon Hunter. Now, there's 2 builds that can be done here. There is the Fiery Brand build towards the right of the tree, and Spirit Bomb built towards the left, and it is very difficult to make a tree that kind of really encompasses the best of both, but probably not impossible. But this isn't what that video is about. Is going over some of the changes that are going to occur and what you're gaining as a Vengeance Demon Hunter, right? The legendary where whenever you Feldev, Demon Hunter comes in and I-beams is coming back and feels really good to press, and makes Feldev really good to press as well. There's also a new talent that whenever you finish the full cast of Fell Devastation, which is going to suck on Quaking weeks, but any other week you're going to be pretty much fine. You regain a bunch of Fury and all that fun stuff, adding more to the rotation. That's a lot of fun. But one of the things that, like, I cannot, as alluded to in the intro of this video, Vengeance is actually getting buttons, right? We're getting buttons that we can press, and it's not like, if you looked at any of my old Vengeance Demon Hunter videos, I have keybinds that are just empty all the time, because there's literally nothing to press at all. But Vengeance is becoming a big winner in the defensive department, but also in the offensive department, right? There's a lot of different stuff that you can do. I really like the rework to the class tree. The whole throw glaive stuff at the beginning top is pretty much all gone, which is really, really nice, because that felt terrible to have to want or take or at all. Because throw glaive doesn't do much, right? You occasionally throw it at a distance for threat. Boom. You're really not doing much for damage there at all. But there's a lot of buttons that you can press now and take. And options for more defensiveness with Demon Nuzzle and all of this fun stuff. And honestly, I'm actually pretty excited to go forward and, you know, play Vengeance Demon Hunter. They're gaining 10% leech. And in all honesty, right now, 2 of the tanks that I'm most excited for are Prot Warrior and Vengeance, and I don't think it's a surprise that both of them have a 10% leech baseline in the class tree that they can just take. And having the shorter meta, I think it's going to go down to, like, what, 3 minutes if I'm not mistaken? Could be 2. I'd have to look at the talent tree again as we're recording this, but whatever have you not, having 20% leech in meta is going to be a big help. And all of this fun stuff. And one of the things that I really love about tanking is being able to roll defensives and being able to play this, you know, being able to be tanky, and they're giving Vengeance the option to do this, which was one of my biggest gripes with Vengeance and DragonFlight, was you basically didn't have anything. Demon Spikes was okay at best, which they've reworked the mastery to include half of the amount of armor with that when you don't have Demon Spikes active as when you do. So that way, you're gaining some innate tankiness even outside of Demon Spikes, but Demon Spikes is going to be able to be more customized, and this I love. You can customize it to have an almost to a 100% uptime of Demon Spikes and not have a single problem keeping it up. Or you can play a little bit more risky and use those talent points in maybe throughput nodes and really work around your Demon Spikes and time them perfectly. So for beginner players, Vengeance is going to just become more tanky and funner to play with more buttons. For more expert players, it's going to do the exact same thing but in a different way, and you're going to be able to alter that playstyle to be able to accomplish this fact. And that, to me, is where this tree truly wins, right? I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it doesn't need to be reworked a little bit. There's a couple of little things here and there where I would go through it and be like, I don't like this, or this or that. But as a whole, like, especially what we were expecting Vengeance Demon Hunter trees to be, or just Demon Hunter trees to be in general, like the joke going around was it was basically a straight line with a bunch of 5-point talent nodes. What they accomplished here is actually needs to be commended. what a great job they did. And of course, the first iteration of a tree is never going to be the best one. This is why there's reworks and going through, and they did a bang-up job with the class tree. So now Vengeance Demon Hunters have access to a lot more defensives and more offensives, right? You're going to be able to have the Hunt and Elysian Decree at the exact same time, which is awesome! Really, really nice. There's a couple of other choice nodes as well that really allow you to kind of, you know, change your Spirit Bomb around. Do you want... You can have just the regular base Spirit Bomb, but you can also customize it while going into a more defensive Fiery Brand build, or you can, you know, sacrifice some defensive Fiery Brand builds to go more into a Spirit Bomb build. And they did address some of the single target concerns with Vengeance. All in all, I really like what they did here, and going from someone who has reluctantly played Vengeance. I first did it because a lot of people asked me to, so I could cover the spec, and honestly, I ended up at an eye level of 278 last season, and I did play a key, like, I did my first key as Vengeance this season in a lower, and I have to say, I had a blast, and I forgot how fun the spec can be, especially in Mythic Plus. Is this a raid? Is this a spec currently on live that I'd want to raid with? Probably not, no. It's not enough buttons for me. I'm used to Prot Warrior, whose APM is like quadruple that of Vengeance. But is it fun? Yes, it is. And is the new trees going to make Vengeance a fun class, more fun class to play in Raid, and a more fun class to play in Mythic Plus? Yes. I honestly believe that, and they have shot up on my list of tanks that I'm going to be ulting. I don't think this is enough for me to main Vengeance, considering how great the Prot Warrior tree looks for me right now. I just went through an entire expansion of wanting to play Protection Warrior and just being crapped on for it because it was never good, to the DragonFlight tree actually looking like insanely fun. So I'm obviously going to be leaning towards Prot Warrior, but the fact that Vengeance is now even in the conversation for one of the first tanks that I'm going to be leveling up as an alt is huge. For anyone that's watched my channel for long enough, me even saying that means that there is a ton of good stuff in this tree, and it, like, honestly, from the little bit of the PTR that I played on it, it looks and sounds and feels incredibly fun. I like the fact there's more buttons. I like the fact that they made it easier for beginner tanks to pick up and play, and I like the fact that they've made it easier for more complex players or more advanced players to play with more complexity and gain out of it, right? It's not necessarily, hey, you just play the easier version of this because you're going to get away with it. There's actual risk to playing a more complex version of it, but the gains that you're getting from it are actually worth the buttons that you're pressing, and that to me is an absolute win. What do you feel about Vengeance Demon Hunter going into DragonFlight? I would love to hear your comments down below. Have yourself a good one, and happy tanking!